The greatest students in this world have to aspire to be the greatest teachers. Learning is an ongoing thing. And I'll share this with you. Vitrus and Jean know the story. But my mom was married to my pop when she was in the 8th grade. She was all of 13. They were first cousins. Which means my father knew my mother right from the time she was born. So the man is really grieving right now because he was married to my mom for 63 years when she died. He's just completely lost. But when she was married to my father, when she was in the 8th grade, 13 years old, was retained in her home till she was 15 and had become a girl and matured. They sent her to my father's house at the age of 15. She had my brother at the age of 16, me at the age of 19. What chance did she have? She was barefoot, typical South Indian wife, fulfilling. See, my mother went from being a girl to a wife, to a mother, to a grandmother, was never a lady. And yet, through all of that wisdom, when she, in 1970, so by 1970, yeah, Mama was 29 years old, or maybe close to 30 at that time. She decides to start back in the 9th grade, just to make sure that her children don't use struggle as an excuse. She would go and stand at the bus stop next to us. We were embarrassed to heck. We would get on the boys' bus to go, or the mixed co-ed bus to go to things. She would get on the girls' school bus to go to a girls' school, starting back at the 9th grade at the age of 29. She persevered. She finished her undergraduate in history the same year my brother graduated from engineering school. Was the president of Toshiba Women's College, much older than all the other women. By then, my brother was really excited about what my mother was doing because my mother was the president of a women's college, and all these girls would come home to meet my mom. So my brother had, he had what we call in sales group prospecting. there was multiple opportunities kind of to it. And I was a little nerdy kid, and the closest I ever came to getting a date was when a girl accidentally patted my head and asked me to give him a note. So I've remained without image. But my father finished his BSc in botany from Andhra University in 1955. Studied under a streetlight because his parents couldn't afford electricity. This is my story. 2.5 years ago, at the age of 83 for my pop, and at the age of 75 for my mom, my mother went back after another 20 years and got her master's. And my father finished his PhD, and both of them walked across the Andhra University Convocation Hall at the 84th Convocation of Andhra University to receive their advanced degrees. I'm a student of constant learning. And some of you are saying, or you come from a family of very slow learners. Some of you finished it the first time we took our entire life to do it. And someone says, your dad has a PhD, do you have one? I said, I have two. The first stands for partial head damage. And the second one, of course, is please help daddy. Because when Andhra University recognized my father and invited me to speak for another symposium, my book was being released, the banner simply said Dhanam and Dhanam. And my father stood up and said, I'm not going to say very much, I'm going to sit down and learn from the boy I consider my hero. If I have anything in life today in terms of learning, it's this boy. He gave me all the books, he brought everything, he encouraged me. And I said, Dad, when did I do that? He says, you're just constant, there is no time for you, you just constantly encourage him. I said, oh. I said, but I don't remember doing all the things you said. He says, no, I attended one of your seminars in Hyderabad when I was 75 years old. And you made this statement. He says, when your obligations to others finish, your obligations to your dreams remain. And he says, I decided, everybody's settled, why am I miserable? Let me go and invest in myself. Andhra University, when they invited him when they gave him the MA, but they didn't want to give him his PhD seat because he'd be taking it away from someone else. So he prepared a 50-page dossier as to why he in that town deserved it. Vice Chancellor gave him special permission. Newspaper said, but you'll be 83 by the time you finish. He said, how old will I be if I don't finish? You'll still be 83. Here's the beauty. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking less often of yourself. You can have dreams, you can be a great one, you can be a CEO, you can be a multi-billionaire. Never forget where you came from and never forget who brought you there. And everything will even out. It's the good news. It's the principle of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, my father, at the age of 80, when he started his PhD, was a research fellow. So even though he was as old as the university, I jokingly tell people my father is so old he remembers when the Dead Sea was just sick. So, we'd say he's older than dirt. In fact, there was this one guy who goes to God and he says, God, I really don't believe in you. I'm going to recreate, I can recreate the earth. Right now, modern science through genetics can do just about anything. We can do anything we want and we don't need you. And God said, so where do you plan to start? He said, I just plan to start with dirt. And God said, get your own dirt. So it pre-exists. So there's a limit to which you can push that envelope. But my father would go at 8 in the morning in his little rinky-dink car with a thermos of coffee that was the same thermos he used when he was a shift foreman in 1955. Amma would pack him a sandwich, and Dad would drive his car and go and open the philosophy department at 8 in the morning because he was the junior most person on the roster. He was a research fellow. Just because he was old, he didn't let culture beat him. He would prepare the coffee for the others, clean the desks, and make sure everything was ready when the other people came in. So they began to respect him for someone who didn't pull rank. When I asked my dad, I said, what's your motivation? He said, there are 2 boards here which have the different people who got their philosophy doctorate. And the first one is Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. He said, I really want to do mine in record time so that at least I'll make that first board where my name is on the same board. Dreams. He missed that board by 1. His name is the first on the other. But it's a fascinating thing that this man, he would take me in the Andhra University and say, that's the bench where I dreamt of walking across and getting that cap and gown. What are your dreams? For your business, for your life, for your family? Eleanor Roosevelt said, other people can tell you what you can or cannot be, only you can fulfill it. See, get into your life constructive critics. Get into your life constructive critics. Constructive critics are people who will point out your faults so that you remove them so you can rise. Unfortunately, we have an abundance of destructive critics. People will just tell us, have you noticed people find fault like there's a reward for it? We complain about everything. The other day I was in but 2 years ago, well, it was Jet Airways, so it must have been at least that long. So, not Jet Raha Airways. So, so I was standing in line, and I was the last in line, but I travel from the US, so I always have 2 bags with me. One bag is, I keep one set of dress clothes, one set of casual clothes, but I take on board every flight with me, just in case luggage doesn't make it, right? So I had these 2 bags, which means if you're going to go through the normal issue, you have to stand in line and you have to be patient. So there are about 20 people ahead of me, and I always get to the airport early. Those that know me know that I get there unusually early. I would rather get there, not have stress, and be able to read than run through everything pretending I'm important. So I was walking, and then this one guy comes. Have you ever noticed that people who want to act like a jackass, I'm sorry I used that word, that's just a polite way of saying donkey. People who want to act like a donkey don't want to make eye contact. Because they're so busy. This guy's got his head in the clouds. He's got his phone on. He's busy. He's running late, which means he's super important. And all of us are just chopped liver, we're just standing there. So he's walking around like this, and suddenly he looks at the line and he says, it's time for II. See, there's AI, artificial intelligence. There's II, Indian innovation. We call it jugaad, but this is human jugaad. So he's standing right there next to me, not making eye contact. He spots one of his friends 8 spots ahead. His subordinate. Main wahan aa jaun? Should I come there? What has he got to lose? Aja? So I looked at him and said, Baap ka Raj hai kya? He says, what? I said, no, I don't mean to be rude. I just want to explain to you line etiquette. Big word. Someone asked me, why do you use big words? I know them. There's no secret here. Dictionary leke nahi ghum raha hu. I've studied all these words. So I said, there's line etiquette. He said, huh? I said, sir, as this line goes, इस लाइन का बादशाह मैं हूँ because मैं आखिरी पोजीशन में खड़ा हूँ, कोई भी एडवांसमेंट मेरे थ्रू ही जाएगा. अगर मेरा परमिशन हो गया, so you have to ask this person's permission, and ऐसे एडवांस कीजिए. So you can still go through, but you have to get 8 permissions to get to your dude. That's human decency. Well, now he didn't want to do anything more chip-chap. ठीक है, अंदर मिल लेंगे. The Jet Airways guy watches how I diffuse the situation. There's no yelling. There's just explanation. Very diplomatic, low voice. He says, "Sab aapne to kamal kar diya. Come with me. I'll check you in the business class line." So as I was extricating myself from the line, I turned to that fellow and said, "Ab aap baadshah ban gaye." Now you are the line baadshah. Common sense is not common practice. Choose to be a top performer. Respond for a better tomorrow. See, every obnoxious act is a cry for help. When people are rude, crude, mean, and nasty, they don't intend to be that. Someone hammered them before they met you. Someone rained on their parade. Someone licked all the red off their candy, and they take it out on you. And usually this is where our relationships fragment. Whether you're a husband or a wife and the world kicks you to the curb, what you do is you come back and take what should have been negotiated. You take an uncontrollable and throw it on what has confidently been by your side all along. We beat up the ones that love us the most by dumping on them when they had nothing to do with it. And we have to be very cautious of this, because what we do is we say, you know what? See, we are nicer to a $3 cat than we are to family members. Because why? They are guaranteed. That's why the old saying goes, you know, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. Yeah, you can pick your nose too, but that's not cool either. Life is tough. And we need to learn the sensitivity, and that's what breeds accomplishment. See, Born to Win, people always say, what is the greatest strategy in sales that you learned from Mr. Ziglar? I said, he wrote 100, and I've closed and set records that will never be broken. But the thing he taught me was a closing attitude. My first appointment is not with anybody else, it's with me every morning. I look in the mirror and say, is the world deserving of what I have prepared for it today? I don't go in backwards wondering, you know, what I'm going to get. Now here's the other side of it. Yesterday ended with last night. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Happy birthday to you. You can either let your past beat you or you can let it teach you. Very simple stuff. It's not complicated. In fact, I was speaking in California one time and I said, this is not rocket science. And one guy said, I agree. I said, you do? He says, yeah, I'm a rocket science. This is not rocket science. He was actually a rocket scientist and he validated that. The choice is yours. Some of you have seen me do this before, but just raise your right hand as high as it'll go. Now raise it a little higher. Why didn't you do that to begin with? I said as high as it'll go. We all save a little bit for a rainy day that never comes. This is what, you know, physically, if you're alert, that illustration means you should stand on the table. That's the highest you can go in this room. Odds are I don't want you standing on the table, but 9 times out of 10, it's because of our observation. In fact, I'll give you an illustration. On this don't waste time placing blame, fix the problem. There are many, I'm trying to think, give you a good illustration on this. But I'll give you another one on just observation. When my parents finished their 50th anniversary, we took them to the Lake Vembanad or one of those words in Malayalam that you can't pronounce, that you know, it's got like X's and Z's and beauty. God's country. So okay, so it's just, you know, it's just like I said, you know, my partner is a Mallu, so I can make this, but you know, in the past all roads led to Rome. Today every idea in the free world starts in a Mallu's home. So we go to Kerala, God's own country, and it's pretty close. Creation could have began there. It is spectacular. So we're at this nice Taj resort. Dad and all are happy. We're getting ready to take a boat ride on Lake Vembanad. My brother is an engineer. Everybody's marveling at this whole ooh and ah, and then everybody gets ready. The camera's ready. This is what excites our society today. It's just a travesty. I said, what's everybody excited for? Aren't we going on the boat ride? He says, no, something amazing is going to happen. Here's the amazing thing. Sunset on the Arabian Ocean, spectacular grandeur of God's beauty. This dude walks 10 ducks that have a bow tie, and he's got a stick, and the ducks are quacking and they're walking, and oh, so cute with a bow tie. We put a man on the moon and we're marveling at ducks with a bow tie. Look at the depth of our imagination, how far we have sunk. Advanced cures for cancer. They're doing organ transplants, and people are still excited with a dude walking ducks. And I'm an anthropologist, social behavior scientist, so I have to say something. You know why we call it a selfie? We can't even spell narcissistic. So I'm looking at the spectacle, thinking to myself, I got it. My brother's like, don't ruin it for everybody else. I said, no, we're in Kerala. You want me to be amazed? Have a duck with a stick walk 10 mallus in a line. Now that's amazing. Huh? And suddenly everybody started laughing. What do you do, sir? And suddenly I'm doing a seminar on the boat. Nobody's looking at the scenery. Why? Disney Empire was built on this premise, and this will liberate you. Nobody remembers normal. You may forget everything I say. You will never forget how I did it. Do you think I still have fun doing this after 25 years? Yes. Yeah, well, you don't raise hands for anything. It's not a trick question. Of course I have fun. Because the day I stop having fun, I should stop boring you and wasting 3 hours of your time, because that's just cheating. Today I have not taken 3 hours of anybody's time. I have stolen 3 hours of life from the number of people. That's how much productivity I stole from planet Earth. If I didn't wake up at 4:30, I don't deserve to be here. That's how you have, that's character. Don't waste time placing blame. Look at these. This is Top Performer 101. Respond, don't react. Learn to respond, be proactive. Every obnoxious act, we covered that. The choice is yours. The choice is always yours. All right? But some of you are still skeptical. You're still wondering if this stuff will work. You know, this whole "this is India" syndrome. You know? Part of our birthright is being skeptical. And sometimes we don't need to, like go to an airport, you'll see a friend. Going somewhere? No, just come to see the plans. You know, that's what we're saying is, I really don't know, I don't want to participate. Best is when you see someone in a theater, come to see the movie. No, just trailers. Just love Janaganmana. So, you know, where are you going to push? That's just dumb. Just waste of time stuff. But what I'm saying is, I want you to have a mindset of nobody remembers normal. Now, that doesn't mean you become weird, but it just means within the confines of that performance, people say, you know what, I want to be in business with that person because A, they're happy, B, they're practical, C, they're informative, but D, they have fun. Where has it been said that we all have to be boring? Maybe in marriage. But that's a whole different issue. See, we are our own worst critic, unless you're married. Then that comes with a package deal. So here are some principles. We'll get to that in a second. But I want to give you an illustration on skepticism. There was this guy who was now getting ready to retire. So he said to his wife, he says, we're going to move to a small town. I'm going to pretend to be a doctor. It says, have your sister or whoever, become my nurse. And he put up a sign in his office. It just it said, doctor, whatever his name was. And then beneath that, he put his rates. If I can cure you, 500 rupees. If I cannot cure you, I will give you 1,000 rupees. Only 2 stipulations. That sounds like a good deal, but all of us are doubtful of a good deal. We always think someone's out to get us. So the first guy, young whippersnapper, comes up and he says, Doc, he's challenging the doctor, not a real doctor. He says, Doc, I'm losing my sense of taste. The doctor said, easy, nurse. Go get 3 drops from bucket number 23 and put it in the patient's mouth. As soon as she put it, he said, that's petrol. He said, congratulations, you got your taste back. That'll be 500. So now he realized he'd been conned. So he waits a week. Notice, whenever we're skeptical, we don't want to be fools immediately. We wait a week to be fools. So he goes back a week later and he says, Doc, I'm losing my memory. That says, nurse, go to bucket number 23, bring 2 drops of the liquid, put in the patient's mouth. He says, oh no, you're not going to trick me, that's petrol. He said, congratulations, you got your memory back. that would be 500. Now he's realized that he's in trouble. Not only is he, see, there's nothing worse in this world than a smart crook. A dumb criminal is the best criminal. A smart criminal will never get caught. They have to be extradited from London. So, that's like, they say in Air India, the goal is, as part of corporate training, never smile. And they succeed brilliantly, never smile. Kingfisher, the goal was always smile. Both have their problems. So there's somewhere in between, you have average, indigo. So, so this guy goes back after a month, and he says, Doc, I'm losing my sight. Can't see. Doc says, I don't have a cure for that. Here's your 1,000. So that's only 500. Congratulations. You're a scientist. You can go through life being counted, or you can grow through life being counted on. Difference between comfort and effective. You can go through life being counted. Someone will count you. You can grow through life being counted on. There's a difference between depending and dependability. So these are the attributes, what we call the qualities of success that bring out the winner in you, that 24-hour champion. Do you set out every day to make a difference? Or you set out every day to point what you think is different? Or you set out not knowing the difference? Either way, you will get to your destination. One alive. See, motivation gets you going. Habit gets you there. You make motivation a habit, you'll get there quicker and have more fun. Well, someone says, well, I really like you. You got a good style. You're engaging. You're funny. But, tomorrow I'll get back in traffic. And then, so you're very motivating. But then what you're saying is motivation is not permanent. But neither is bathing or eating. But if you do both on a regular basis, you'll live longer, smell better. What I'm saying is, in order for motivation to work, you have to have what he said earlier, self-motivation. Every day you have to do something that invests in you that which is good, clean, pure, powerful, and productive. Every day, that's your job. You need to read something. You'll never catch me in a line not having something to read. I'll see people get on the airplane and then they'll sit down and say, you know what? For the next 2 hours of my life, I'm going to stare at the big fat head in front of me. I want to play. I've got nothing to read. I've got nothing to lose. I'm on a business meeting, but I'm going to stare at this head. And I'm going to pray it gets pretty. No, it's going to just stay a big fat ugly head in front of you. Have something to read. If you read an average of 20 minutes a day, not as an average reader intellectually, but just speed. If you just read 20 minutes a day with average speed, at the end of the year you will complete 20 books that are 200 pages long. And that is 19 more than your competition read.
Wow.
Just 20 minutes a day. I can tell you without any fear of error, when I heard that statistic, I have read on average at least one book every week now for the last 27 years. This is my job. I have to read that much. But the reality is, we are in the knowledge game when we should be in the wisdom game. Knowledge is learned, wisdom is lived. We got more knowledge right now than at any other time in human history. Everybody's passionate about climate change, but not about changing time, or changing management. We worry about the big issues, the toxic ones that shape humanity, and we're very opinionated about that. But we really don't have an opinion about getting somewhere on time and doing a job well. Common sense is what? Be it a job, big or small, do it well or not at all. Your word is your bond. If your word's no good, you're no good. That's when you can stand in front of the mirror and say, mirror, mirror on the wall, here I am, what's my call? And everything will begin to change. Well, I know some of you saw skirming back, so you're pretty sure tea is getting ready. We're right now at about 11 o'clock, so let's take that tea break now, come back at 11:15, or, all right? 11:14, so that'll be about 16 IST, all right?
Subscribe to the Friendship Club channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching. Visit us at thefriendshipclub.in.